If you're gonna not have that behind some of the stuff, I would. If
All
you're just
right, folks. Welcome everybody here. So we're going to we'll put up that. How about that? We'll go with
that
simple
better.
background here. Oh, we could go with the cakes. That was a big fan run. The cakes
Oh,
were a huge hit. We just did our talk show on YouTube and Facebook. We had the cakes in the background,
look
and
at
that
the
was a
frosting in the middle layer of those chocolate ones on the top row.
oh yeah. Those might be whoopie pies.
Oh,
Mm,
you know what? I bet you're right.
I think so. All right,
So
so I got
don't
my decaf coffee going here, and welcome everybody that joined us here. So I'm going to go back to the black screen here because it's going to
yep.
be easier to see some of the things we have. And Robbie's here. Hello, Robbie. So this is the official. Oh, I should make my banner on. Create a banner for this right here. So this would be the
Mhm.
set. So the 1972 Summit Series. I'll capitalize this. I should have had this all set up.
But
Wrap
don't
up.
forget, folks. That's what you get, folks, for making whoopee.
so so this is the official 1972 Summit Series wrap up. And I used shootout hockey for this.
Yes.
Okay, and I'll talk a little bit about that one second. But what we're gonna do in this recap here, we're gonna recap the scores, recap the stats, and then I'm gonna do a quick rundown of each game because this recap absolutely this replay deserves a recap. It really did. And there's a few when I sometimes I do a recap run after a replay, sometimes I don't. I usually do, depending on how it goes. But this one,
You were really just so into this that
I was really
yeah.
into this one. Yeah. So and Dale's back with us. Greetings again. And Kenny, yeah, Kenny, I'm hoping you're gonna like this one here. This is a big hockey show for you here. And what do you mean talking about changing the jersey? What are you talking about? It's fun. I didn't it's all the same.
You're dressed the same way you were 20 minutes ago.
Exactly. It just poof, So I had to get in character. Sorry, I did have to get in character. So first things first, all right, as we say
All
hi
right.
to everybody here. First things first, let's see if I can show you the scores, Ron. Okay. So we're gonna start off by sharing the scores. So we're gonna go to my Summit series here. Okay. So here's what we got. Here's what happened in my replay. Now remember, it was an 8-game series. And
Mhm.
a lot of goals were scored. Holy cow! Look at these scores. So game one at the Forum, Russia took that one 6-4, shocking Canada. They shocked Canada. Okay, game two, Canada came back and won a close one 6-4. So identical scores 6-4. Then Canada pulls off a pair of 6-5 wins, and they take a commanding 3-0 lead going into Russia. And we're thinking this is over.
Yep.
We're thinking this is over. Russia in game 5 destroys them. Absolutely
9-1.
destroys them 9-1. That was I couldn't believe it. It's like it was just like scripted. Canada though rebounds in game 2 and they crushed them 9-3. So now you're thinking Canada's up 4-2. They just
4-2.
need
Win
a win
one
or a
and you win
tie.
the
And
series.
yep.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening? Russia ekes out a 5-4 win, and then Canada must have got exhausted at the end because they lost this one 9-2. So the series for me tied at 4-4. The goals were 46 for Russia and 38 for Canada. And boy, Ron, that was boy, that was something else. Now, what I'd like to do next, real quick, is show you the stats for this. So I'm going to share my screen, the Summit stats. So hopefully you guys can see this right here. Okay, so as we take a look for Canada, as you figured, Esposito and Henderson. In fact, Henderson had a better series in real life than I really thought. Henderson was a monster.
Just wasn't that winner in game 8
No,
either.
no, he had a winner in game 6 or 7. He went around guys, was falling down and scored late in the game too. So Henderson was good in that series. So you had Esposito, Henderson, and Parisi was big. Conrier obviously as well too. Bergman and Park were defensemen. They each picked up 5 points for me. Bobby Clark though, look at Bobby Clark. He only picked up a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. So he really didn't factor in too much at all. And then everybody else kind of fell into line a little bit from there. For the Russians, I don't know many of the Russians there, but Shadrin led all scorers, 8 goals, 10 assists. He had 18 points. Yakushev was good too. And then obviously Mikhailov and Maltsev. And what's pretty good, Ron, look at that Lyapkin. He's a defenseman. He picked up 2 goals in one game. Yeah, in Russia. So Lyapkin, it was fun watching the defenseman score. And Saigankov with 5 assists. He was really good. Karlamov, who was supposed to be one of the best guys, I think. In fact, Karlamov and Mikhailov were the 2 guys that I put on my Action PC hockey team, if you remember that.
Yes, I do remember that.
And Karlamov only finished with 4 points. I mean, that was That was really weird. 4 goals, no assists. So that's kind of what's going on the offense. Let's take a look at the goalies. What does anything jump out at you there?
Dryden Esposito with goals against average of nearly 6. And look at Dryden's save percentage, 811.
Almost identical. They were identical. 5.75 goals against. Save percentage wasn't that good. Yeah. Tretiak was 4.75, but he did make some saves. But so those are the 3 goalies.
But 861 is not a terrible save percentage.
No, not against that Canadian team.
No.
Right? No, that was something else.
Surprised that you didn't have more assists from some of the Canadian players. I mean, Parise and Espo were the leaders, but your defensemen really didn't carry a lot of the action in.
No, there was a lot of unassisted goals, especially for the Russians. I really was surprised at how many unassisted goals there were. So let me stop sharing that, and we're back here. I'm going to put up my banner real quick. So this is the wrap up here. So a couple things I do want to go over here. We'll say hi to some people in the chat. Let me see. Kenny's said let's Facebook for a bit. Captain Carl, good evening, Captain Carl.
How you doing, Bobby?
And let's see who else is here. Robbie's here. And who else was here? I'm sorry if I missed somebody else. We have a few people watching here. But anyway, so okay. So let me first a couple of notes here first, Ron.
Okay.
Okay. I was using homebrew cards, and I think they were made by Mark Miller. Okay, and I got them off the Delphi forum. So these are not official Shootout Hockey cards. Okay, so let's just right off the bat, these are unofficial cards. They're homebrew cards that I didn't purchase. They were free that Mark made.
Mark made a couple games. Is big in the community, so they're pretty good cards.
Yes, they are. Yep. So I was using his cards with his ratings, and I just went by him. Okay. I also used actual game lineups as much as I could. So the shootout cards, if you've ever seen a shootout card, it's you get the card with all the players on the team, and that's it. Now there was some players that played that weren't on the card, and some players on the card that only played a couple of games. And I'm not faulting Mark at all for this, because there were so many players in and out that you couldn't.
The way the game is set up, it's 4 forward, 2 defense, and then 3 people on the bench or something like that.
I think it's 4 lines, and then oh, actually, I got it right here. I can take a look at it. So let me see. It is 4 lines and 3 lines defense, and then the 2 goalies. And so there were a couple, like Wayne Cashman is not on the card. I'm holding it in my hand. Wayne Cashman is not on the card because he only played a couple of games.
Did he score or get any?
In my replay, he did. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll explain that in 1 second. So Cashman's not on the card. Don Ari's not on the card. So there's a few people, a few players that played for each team that didn't make it on the card. So what I had is, I think it was Hockey Blast, actually. Somebody on Hockey Blast, whether on their website or Delphi or something, had the actual lineups from the 72 Summit Series.
Nice.
So I had the shootout cards in front of me, but then behind that, I had the actual lineups for each game. So what I would do is I tried to sub in players the best I could and include any line changes, because Esposito sometimes wasn't on the same line as he was on the card. So what would happen is, if Esposito's number called up and he scored, I looked to see who he was playing with in that game according to that sheet. Yeah, so if you can follow any of that. So on the shootout card, Esposito is with Parisi and Conroy. He spent most of the time with JP Parisi and Ivan Conroy. Okay. There was a couple games he played on a different line. So if he was on a different line in that game and he got the assist, and then it said check for, he scored, he checked for assist. If it was the left winger, it was not going to be Parisi. It was going to be who he was with for that game.
Excellent.
So I really tried to get as close as I could. And also, if it called up somebody on the card that wasn't in the game, I looked at the actual lineup and saw who was in the game.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if it said, hey, Shadreen, gets the goal or gets whatever it was, Shadreen wasn't in that game. So I look, okay, who wasn't in the last game that is in this game? Okay, it was, Maltsev or whatever. So I substituted Maltsev in and gave him the goal of the assist is what I did. So for the best I could, I mixed and matched between the shootout cards and the actual game lineup to get as close as I could, if you can follow that. Okay. So I also used my hybrid system. Oh, and I was going to do this like, as you said, like a patchwork, where I was going to play shootout and action PC and strat. in Hockey Blast, Calico on Hockey Blast. I was going to use the 4 different games I have, the 4 main games, and then play them all in Canada and then play them all again in Russia. But after I played the first game with Shootout Hockey, I had so much fun. I said, nope, I'm just going to play this all straight through with Shootout.
You were so thrilled after that first game too.
Yeah, I was. The first game was so good, and we'll talk about how that happened. So I stuck with Shootout. I still could go back again at any time and replay this with some of the other games, but okay. So I did the whole thing just in Shootout. I used my hybrid system of dice and the facts. Okay. And whereas I like to roll for the scoring chances, or I call it the action, either scoring chances or penalties. So I like to roll the dice for that rather than flip the action card. We've had that discussion before, okay? But the fast action cards are great for finding out the time that it's elapsed and the player who took the shot or got the penalty.
Right.
That's the way to go with that. So I went with my hybrid system. In the first 4 games in Canada, I was using the fast action cards for pretty much everything beyond the action roll. So if there was a scoring chance, I went all fast action card. Who got the chance? Where did they shoot from? And was it a goal? And I got so many goals after the first 4 games, I switched tactics. So what I would do is I would still roll the dice.
But your scoring wasn't lower by a lot.
No.
For the last 4.
No, it wasn't. It was pretty identical. So what I did is I would roll the dice for the action, flip the fast action card to see who had the scoring chance. But instead of reading the fast action card to see if that was where they shot from and if it was a goal, I rolled the dice. And the dice told me where I shot from, and the dice told me if it was a goal. So if you follow that, so for the first 4 games, I used the fast action cards to determine location of the shot and whether it was a goal. And then in the second 4 games, I went dice for location and dice to see if it was a goal. And there really wasn't a heck of a lot of difference. There really wasn't.
No. So much firepower, too. I'm sure the ratings were high.
Yeah. Also, I didn't play exactly by the rules. If you know me with Shootout, I've really kind of worked the game up. So I love it. But I've got a couple of home rules and house rules that I use that makes the game play better for me. It makes it flow for me. It makes it fun for me. So, so just to be, upfront with everybody, I didn't play all this exactly by the rules straight off the card. So your result will vary greatly from mine because I played it very different.
I didn't see anything there that wasn't plausible.
Right. Yeah. No. And you play it down the middle because you really can't cheat in this game.
No,
unless you can't. Unless you ignore dice roll. So when it came to penalties, so I will say before we get to the box scores, when it came to penalties, I didn't really keep track of penalties. Okay, so you'll see penalties in the box score, but how Shootout works with penalties is if you get a penalty, you flip the card or you roll the dice to see the penalty letter, W, X, Y, Z, whatever it is. So let's just say it was X. And you go to the Shootout card and look. If there's 3 players with X, how Shootout does it is they all get a penalty. However, you only play the 1 power play. Okay, so the other 2 penalties are considered part of the box score, but considered penalties they killed off. Okay, I didn't do that in this one because I was really looking for final scores. So when you see my penalty summary, I just found the first guy or the second guy that had that letter, gave them the penalty. In fact, I didn't keep track of penalties. When you looked at my stats, there was no penalties. It was just goals and assists.
Yeah, when I played, I would just roll a die. Depending, so it's either,
you could determine. So sometimes there was just one person with a letter, and there was other times that there were 3 people. So, but I always do that when I play Shootout because I'm looking for final scores so much, not so much exact box scores. So you're going to see my penalties weren't very high. There might be 6 minutes or 8 minutes. It probably was double that in the game because there was always 1 or 2 players who had that. So keep in mind when we look at these box scores, especially the penalties are not as exact as they could be. Okay. The power plays, though, I tried to keep. So, and if you had, if you went on the power play and scored, I gave you credit for that a little bit. But so I just wanted to preface all this by saying it was homebrew cards. I tried to use the actual game lineup. So I did go off the board for 50, Jack, and go into the Hockey Blast set of lines that they gave me. I used my hybrid system, and I didn't play by exact rules. I used penalties. All that being said, let's get to what happened because this was an absolute blast. Okay, so let me go here and see if I can call up this first game here. So this was
from the Forum in Montreal.
From the Forum in Montreal. Hey, Clinton, what's going on here? We're just doing a quick hockey recap.
Danny,
So
when was Harlamoff killed in a car accident?
Oh, he was? Ooh,
Yeah.
that sucks. All right, so let's see if I can share this screen, Ron.
I'm not sure we said hi to Dale Lonsdale either. Here, take your banner off.
Oh, yeah, let me do that. Let me go to my banner and hide that. Okay, so and I'll straighten this out a little bit. Okay, so here's game one. Center that. How's that look? All right.
That's perfect.
Okay, so you probably can't really see it. This little, they get better. The first couple of screenshots I took of the box scores were kind of fuzzy because they were kind of small. So I actually go to the Operation Sports. There's a place you can go and make box scores. So that's what I did, and I just thought they looked kind of nice when you go there. Okay, so this is game one of the series. Okay, so you picture we're at the Montreal Forum. The lineups are going. They exchange the gifts. It's the Russians. No one knows what to think here. And what happens? 59 seconds in, Ron, Yakushev scores, and the Russians go up 1-0.
That would have been stunning.
It was. And then what happens 21 seconds later? So literally the next flip of the card or the next roll of the dice, Karlamov scores. And it's 2-0 Russia. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, wow, 2-0 Russia at the first game. This is unbelievable. Another couple of cards later, a couple of dice rolls later, Mikhailov scores. We haven't played 4 minutes, and it's 3-0 Russia in game one. And this is when I started getting into it. Okay.
That's completely unexpected.
Yeah, because this is when I started getting into the game, because it was like, wow, the Russians are taking it to the Canadians. It's 3-0. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. And what happens? A couple minutes later, Zeman scores. So Zeman, it's 4-0 Russia at the Forum. Dryden is getting lit up in front of his home crowd. I'm like, this is something else, right? And then what happens? Conrier scores from Esposito. Okay, they stop the bleed, and it's 4-1, right? Nope. Zeman scores his second of the game, and it's 5-1 Russia after one. Okay? This is why we play cards and dice.
Absolutely.
Ron, this is exactly what I needed for everything that's going on in my life and everybody's life. When I saw this 5-2, I said, this is going to be a great series. And it was at this point I said, I'm going shootout hockey all the way with this.
I think that's the right decision for you, too. You enjoyed it so much.
Okay, so we go to the second period. 5-1 Canada. I'm thinking they go into the locker room. The guys, let's get our stuff together. Let's take it to these guys. Vikolov, 6-1. Canadians are stunned, and I can hear the broadcast in my head while I'm playing this. No, let's go. It's the Russians, Vikolov. It's 6-1. I can hear that guy that you hear on the replays all the time. The guy that said, "Oh, it's Henderson." Well, it's Vikolov. It's 6-1, and the Canadians.
Do it.
Yeah. Yep. And then Rattel scores. Gilbert scores from Rattel, and it's 6-2. And then in the third period, Henderson and Esposito scored.
Henderson scores
to make it 6-4, but you're down 6-1. They couldn't come back, and so Russia takes game one 6-4. We looked at Canada put 30 shots on Tretiak, and he lets up 4 goals. And each team, no power plays converted in this one, but yeah. So that's how it went. In fact, I took Dryden out. As you can see at the bottom, I took Dryden out. So Dryden gave up 3 goals on 7 shots. In fact, I screwed up my I messed up. So I messed up my goalie stats. I just noticed that. I forgot that I took Dryden out. So on my spreadsheet, I'll have to fix that because Dryden didn't give up all those goals because I put in Esposito. So so those goalie stats I show you, my bad. I messed up. I forgot that I took Dryden out. But yeah, so I pulled Dryden, put in Esposito. He let up a couple of goals, but he stopped the bleeding a little bit. But so that was game one. That was fun. So now let's see if I can go to game 2.
Okay.
All right. So that was on the 4th. So now
Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
So we're at Maple Leaf Garden right now. Oh, and the stars of the game, you saw Zeman, who was #1 star with 2 goals and a whole bit. It was just a Soviet domination. Okay. So now we're in game 2, September 4th. And what happens? Power play goal, Yakushev scores, and Russia goes up 1-0. And at this point here, the Canadian fans and all the Canadian everybody's going nuts. They're like, nope, we can't believe this. It's what's going on. Well, Esposito comes back and scores a tie at 1-1. So the first period ends 1-1. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. Karlamov scores, and it's 2-1. Excuse me, 2-1 Russia. I'm like, oh, wow, this is unbelievable. Conway scores to tie it 2-2. Zimmern scores. It's 3-2. It's like the Canadians have been playing catch up the whole series, the whole time.
It's crazy.
Henderson scores. You can see 16:44. So it's 3-3. Finally, that goal by Esposito at the end of the second period, 18:01 to play, 18:01 pass. So it's 2 minutes left in the period on the power play. Esposito scores. It's the first Canadian lead of the series at this point, and it's 4-3. I go into the third period. Park scores from the point, and that puts him up 5-3, and that was enough breathing room. So Zimmern scored, and then Bergman scored to finish it out. Bergman might have been an open net, I'm not sure, but
56 shots.
56 shots they put on Tretiak, and he was monstrous. In fact, he got second star for 50 saves. So Esposito with 2 goals and assists, Park with a goal and assist, and then Tretiak 50 saves. So those are my 3 stars. But yeah,
crazy.
That was just so we had a 6-4 game, a pair of 6-4 games to kick things off. So right, now let's go.
Big Clue and Dale Lonsdale and Antha Great, by the way, have joined us.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. I'm just kind of recapping the box scores here of my my Summit Series recap.
So this was Winnipeg, right? Game 3?
Winnipeg, Game 3, so September 6th. And look what happened here, Ron. First period, Yakushev, Shadrin, and Petrov all scored. Petrov scored with 25 seconds left in the period. It was 3-0 Russia in Game 3. I'm out of my mind. I'm so into it at this point because Russia creams them in Game 1. Canada comes back, takes Game 2, and you're thinking Canada's going to take the edge here. Nope, 3-0 Russia out of the gate. I was like, what is going on? But look at the second period. Esposito hat trick in the second period. He ties it all by himself. Phil Esposito ties it at 3-3. We go into the third. What happens? Defenseman Bill White from the point. He was the defenseman, and I remember he took the shot from the blue line, which is far out, beats Tretiak, 4 goals in a row. Rattel scores 5 goals in a row. It's now 5-3 Canada, right? So Winnipeg's going nuts. All Canada's singing "Oh Canada," and what happens? Mikhailov and Kharlamov each score, and we're tied at 5. I mean, you talk about ups and downs.
No fingernails left at that point.
I think I actually get up and walked around at that point. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. And then what happens late in the game with just about 3 minutes to play? Mikita sets up Conway for the game-winning goal. Canada hangs on 6-5. I mean, but look at that. 3-0, 3-3. Canada actually scored 5 goals in a row, and they still needed a late goal.
That would have been so intense to watch the third period of that game.
That was so, I mean, wow. In fact, I think I was like typing on your streams, saying, hey, Ron, check this out. So this is what I was doing. So, I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt your streams with my scores, but but look what was going on here. All right, so let's go to the next game here.
Kenny, I wasn't even a year old when the series was played.
So we'll take a look at this game here.
Vancouver.
So we're in Vancouver. So this is the last game in Canada, okay? So Russia goes up first again. Yakushev scores on a power play, right? And then Gilbert ties it. Yakushev puts him up 2-1. Henderson ties it. Then finally Canada goes up. So this game went back and forth, as you can see. And then finally in the third, Conway and Esposito scored. Shadrin scored like with 19:31 left to make it 6-5.
Can you pull the goalie and shoot?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. And you got 2 ways of doing it. You can flip the fast action card. There's a special box for pulling the goalie, or you can just give them if you're using dice, you can give them a few extra numbers on the dice. I think I do. I don't give them the full power play. I think I give them, instead of 10 extra numbers, I give them 5.
I'm looking at the stats are the shots on goal, and outside of Game 2, when Canada put 56 on, they're pretty realistic.
Yeah, and you can see Tretiak gave up. I mean, they're almost identical here. Dryden and Tretiak, 81%, 82%. So, so that was the last game in Canada. So Canada comes back. So now they're leading the series 3-1 because they lost Game 1, but they won 6-4, 6-5, and 6-5. So we got a series going to Russia. So we fly to Moscow.
Now, all 4 of these games are in Moscow, right?
At the same rink, yes.
Yes.
So what happened September 22nd?
Whoa, 17 shots.
They got destroyed. They absolutely got destroyed. So you look at this right out of the gate. I think I got that time wrong, but I mean, Luchenko and Gusev put them up 2-0. Mahavlich scores, get Canada back in at 2-1, but then it was just all Russia. And there's Liapkin with a goal. I talked about him earlier. He was a defenseman. I think Luchenko's a defenseman.
Shorty.
Yeah. Yep. Shorthanded goal at the end of the game with 24 seconds left to make it 9-1. Canada must have been out of their minds. They got destroyed.
Goodness. Yep. Now, who was it? Espo or Dryden?
Let me scroll down on that one. That was I let Espo ride that one out.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Tony got destroyed. Yeah, I didn't take it. I took the only game I split goalies was that first game when I took Dryden out. So I'll have to adjust my goalie stats. But
and Tretiak 16 out of 17.
Yeah, that's probably gonna skew my goalie stats if I took Dryden out and he gave up those goals there in game one. So Dryden's not gonna have a good save percentage, but yeah, so that's what happened there. Shorthanded goal to end this one. So their first game in Moscow. So the series was 3-1. Now it's 3-2, and Canada just gets destroyed. So now here's where the series takes another turn. So we go to game 6. Remember, it's an 8-game series. Game 6, and look what happens here. Canada.
4 goals.
Canada destroys them. Henderson right off the bat. Wait,
I count 5. He scored 2
out. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's all manual, by the way. Yeah. So I must have messed that. So yeah, count that as 5 goals, not 4. So Henderson scores 2. Mikhailov scores with Esposito and Parise. So it's 4-1 after 1. And then same in the second. They outscore him 2-1, and then they outscore him 3-1 in the third. And the shots were even 34-31. It really was. We take a look at the goalies. It was not a good game for Tretiak at all.
Were Soviets dressing another goalie besides Tretiak or no? I know he played all 8 games.
It said Tretiak played them all. I didn't have any numbers in any other goalie, so okay. I just left Tretiak in come heck of high water there. So this was game 6. So now
you gotta be thinking the series is over at this point.
Yeah, because it was 3-1 going to Moscow. So and then it was 3-2 after they get destroyed. Canada comes back. It's now 4-2. So there's 2 games left. So you got to figure Russia's got to win them both out, and they just got destroyed. So they're not happy. So we got 9-1 and 9-3 in Russia. So let's go to game 7. Okay, so now we go to game 7, and this was unbelievable right here.
What a first period.
Yep, it's game 7. So it was Mahavlich. Okay, Mahavlich puts Canada up 1-0. Phil Esposito gets a major penalty. Russia scores 3 times on the major. Okay, Canada gets a shorthanded goal, although on that major as well. Okay, but Esposito gets a major penalty. Russia scores 3 times. It's like, you got to be kidding me. What happens in the second period? Espo comes back and scores. And in my mind, I'm like, Esposito probably scored and looked right at the referee. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, oh, you're going to give me a major penalty? Okay. And so Esposito comes back and he scores on that one. All right. Russia would score 2 of the final 3 goals and pick up the win, though, and they'll steal this one. But yeah, I mean, this was back and forth. The 3 power play goals, as you could just feel the referees trying to help the Russians along in this game. You're really good.
Sure.
3 power play goals in a 5-minute major. It was unbelievable. You can see the penalty minutes, 11. And again, that's low because I'm only keeping track of the single penalty every time. But Shadreen picked up 3 goals. Esposito, I gave him a star goal and 2 assists. And Anderson there with 3 assists as well. So let's scroll down and take a look at my goalies real quick in this one. They weren't too bad. Esposito got the loss, but only gave up 5 goals. Tretiak, 90% saves. That's not too bad. So that was game 7. So now it's 4-3 Canada. Okay. And we go to game 8, and it's another Soviet smoke show. Yeah. Defenseman Liapkin scored twice in the first period. So look at the box score. Liapkin. He's the defenseman, and he gets 2 goals.
Yeah, your defenseman makes you down 2-0. That's not a good night for you.
Yeah, and so they just close out the homestand with a solid win. They scored 5 times in the third, and it looked like Canada. It looks like they just wanted to go home. Oh, they really did. I mean, Clark got. I think this is Clark's only goal of the series in here in the second period. So that made it. Actually, it was 3-2 at one point. So you thought maybe at 3-2 the Canadians would make a run for it. No, Blinoff scored, and then 5 in the third. Dryden, not a good game. Save percentage of 76. That was not good for Dryden, but Again, no penalties for the Soviets and 13 minutes in penalties for the Canadians.
Now that's interesting because what was it? You said that they had
a major
one of the games that Canada was on the shorthanded for how many minutes of the first two periods?
Harry Sinden said 15 minutes out of the first two periods at one point. So, yeah, so this is just hysterical how this was game 8 and Russia cruised to the win. They got 3 power play goals in this game on 5 opportunities. Canada had none. And yeah, so you really could feel the referees rooting against Canada. And
crazy how that works.
But how the series went, how, it was.
Can you imagine just how dejected people would have been watching that third period of game 8?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how different it was. So I just want to just wrap up real quick. We'll show the screen one more time. So here's how it went. It was, again, so Russia takes game 1. That was the one that they ran out to that huge lead, 6-1 lead, and they hung on. Canada steals 3 games at home. Now look at those 6-4, 6-5, 6-5. So the games that Canada won at home were all nail biters. And then we had the 2 back-to-back blowouts, Russia blowing them out and then Canada blowing them out. Canada's got the series lead. Russia squeaks out that 5-4 win and then blows them out 9-2.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that was my project. And I wanted to share that with everybody.
Yeah, well deserved to share too. And yeah, the best projects are the ones that you said that you could sit there and imagine yourself watching it on television late at night, as Kenny said, on a black and white set, and watching Canada choke away that series in the third period of game 8. Absolutely crazy. And of course, it's wild how you had all the power plays called for the Soviets in the Soviet Union.
It's funny when you and that's one thing we talk about on the show all the time is how many times do you play a cards and dice game or even on the PC and it plays out similar to what happened and you didn't even mean it to happen that way.
No, and it just tells you that Mark did a good job with the cards, that the engine is good. And one of those crazy things that everyone would have thought when Canada was up 4-2. Yeah. All you had to do is just win one more. Now, you probably know the answer to this, or Kenny might. Would there have been an overtime? Was there overtime?
I don't think they were playing overtime in that. No. Do you know why? Because one of the things they were talking when the game was tied, like in real life, not in my replay, in the actual replay, when they were in game 8. And the game was tied late. There was a rumor going around because some of the Canadian players heard I don't know if it was the coaches or the players or the fans that was saying the Russians, if this game tied, the Russians were going to claim they won the series because they scored more goals. No, they did tie. They did tie in one of the Canadian games. Didn't they tie in?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
They tied in Winnipeg.
Okay.
Because they lost Montreal. They won Toronto, they tied Winnipeg, and then they lost Vancouver is what happened. They lost badly in Vancouver. So they did have a tie. So so there were no overtime back then.
Because there was no NHL overtime.
Right, yeah. So there was because it wasn't a playoff game. It was just kind of a regular season game, if you will. So they weren't doing any shootouts or overtime or anything like that.
Yep, as Kenny says, the NHL went in with a ton of bravado. But in all honesty, they were stunned after the first game, which played out for you exactly that way, that the Russians get up 5-1 the second period.
Yep. And he said it was designed that way. So, yeah, so, I mean, you play 8 games.
Technically, they were all exhibition games. It wasn't a playoff.
But, yeah, if anybody ever gets a chance to play this series and you're a hockey fan, and this was a little before my time. I was only 5 years old, so I don't remember it, but I remember of it. And the more I read about it now on the internet and watch videos, it is – wow. So I'm playing that out in Shootout on I was upstairs on the table, and a lot of times I was watching your feed or I had something else, but then I was just rolling the dice and flipping the cards, and I'm blown away what was going on.
Yeah, and just all plausible. There was nothing there that I said, oh, geez, that should have happened.
I mean, it was just weird that we had 3 games that were blowouts, 9-2, 9-1, 9-3. That was kind of odd. But all the other 5 games are with 1 or 2 goals, and it ended up 4-4. You know, it really did. And what the regular one was, what, 4-3-1, right? Because it was 3-3-1 going into the last one. So Canada actually played better in Moscow, but in my feed, they won 3 games at home.
Right.
And then
They had all
3
the
games.
cases in the world to wrap it up in Russia. They couldn't do it.
Yep. So it was, but it the way it played out with they lost that first game 9-1. It was almost like they were tired from the trip. That's kind of how I felt. And then
because you didn't do it. There was how much of a layoff between games 4 and 5? They went to
Sweden for a few games.
Right.
So I think they played 2, 4, 6, 8, and it wasn't until the 22nd that they played.
So that was a long lay.
Well, they had 12 days.
Right. And so for the real series, it was a long layoff. But for you, there were no games in Sweden. So that's just.
Yeah. So it's just a straight up. Yeah. But it's just the idea that, boy, they go their first game in Moscow, they get destroyed. I'm like, wow, this is something else. They, they were tired from the trip. It's just, and then they come back with a huge win, and then they lose a close one, and then they get blown out. So it was almost like, hell, let's just go home. And that's how I felt.
Yeah, exactly. Robbie, there is a homebrew for Action PC of this series. Right? You've played it. You've started it, right? In Action PC?
I have it for Action PC.
Was it it was a homebrew. It wasn't
off the Sports Replay site.
Okay, sportsreplays.net.
Yep, sportsreplays.net. You can download the rosters for that. I don't know if I've played that or not.
I know we've talked about it.
I thought I had it for Strat, but I don't. I had the cards for Strat.
You do have the cards for Strat. And Kenny, it's why we play, eh? Exactly. I mean, it's a classic case of you want to be able to relive something exciting, and you can't get much more exciting than what Dave had.
Yeah, in fact, I do, it is. I'm looking at it right now. I do have it for in fact, I'm in the middle of a series, and Canada leads 3-2-1 right now. That's I think what it is. No, 2-1. Canada leads 2-1 on Action PC. So yes, so you can get it. In fact, I should play it on Action PC too. I don't know if I'd broadcast it, but I'd play it for myself. But yeah, it is on Action PC. Somebody posted, I want to say it was on the tabletopsports.com. That's where I got the Strat set of the cards.
Yeah, because I remember that you were lining them up and putting logos on, weren't you?
Yeah, I changed some of the colors, I think, is what I did, so they wouldn't look exactly the same because they were on a PDF. And then I think a Hockey Blast. I have my Hockey Blast. I think they were a homebrew for Hockey Blast. Somebody created. I think they were free. I think. So I know I have these all over
for that because it's only 8 games and it's hard to be accurate.
Yeah,
there's only 10% of a season size.
Yeah. But yeah, so good times playing Shootout Hockey. Credit to Mark for making those and giving me so many days of fun and nights of fun.
That was great.
That I needed that. And this is one I'll never forget. This was such a good recap, and it was just 8 games too, so it was still kind of a small recap. You know, not a recap, a small project, I should say.
Yeah.
And
then I could just imagine them going to the airport after that third period. Absolutely dejected beyond belief.
Yeah. Yep. It was it was something else. I was just so excited. It's like, and when I have a project like that, and I was just like pumped up for it, and I'm playing this and I'm seeing it play out, I'm just like, this is unbelievable. And I, I think I played 6, 7, and 8 all in the same night because I just couldn't stop playing. I need to wrap this series up. This is awesome.
Well,
and
you got wired.
Yeah,
you got wired doing it.
Yep, it was just so much fun playing it, and just I don't even know if maybe on the Sega Genesis with NHL '94 is the last time I really got into something like this. When I really get into something like this, just sometimes you play a game, you're having fun, okay, whatever, and then sometimes it's like, wow, I'm so in. I can't stop playing. I just want to keep playing because this is so good, and look at the results, and look at what's happening, and the whole bit. So.
It told a story, and that's why we do these things. It tells a story, and yeah,
that's a pretty good way of putting it. We told a story.
We told a story.
Yep, and it did. And
there's really no rest in a cards and dice game. Yes, if these games allow for rest.
Oh,
It's not. It's more of a quick play highlight game. So it's not like Strat where you got to go through and put the individual lines in and all that.
yeah, all the lines are on the card and just, whatever. But yeah, but it's too bad. I wanted to stream it, but I was the creator of the game asked me not to show the cards because they weren't official cards. He said I could play the game and share the results, but just not show the cards. So I honored
It's
that.
his game. He's entitled.
Yep, which is too bad because I could play that shootout helper with these, and that would be an absolute blast. Because I played the other night that shootout helper. Unfortunately, it was a 8-1 win for Boston over Montreal. Sorry, Ron, but that shootout helper is it's such a great way to stream.
Peter.
Yeah, I know. It is such a great way to stream a game and show off that game, that helper. It really is.
I just spooked the crap out of my cat, by the way, doing that. I coughed and she's like woke up and started scratching my leg.
My dog hates when I cough. I get the mouth number 2 is partially deaf, but when I cough, he hears me and it scares the crap out of him.
Not Dale. There's no travel rest. Not in this.
So, thank you, Kenny. Yeah, it just I screwed up on the stats a little bit, but that's
all right. I mean, that's
technicality.
kind of leads us to what we're talking about Friday. So absolutely, as every good project tells a story, and you played 8 games that told one hell of a story.
And that just captured the feel of what was going on.
Well, yeah,
at the time.
I could see it as you told it when Esposito scored in the second period after that major, just glaring at the ref.
You could sense that because when you do your games, right? You do your games, and something happens in your games, and you're like, and this guy hits it down the second, and he stands on the base, and he stares down the pitcher who hit him in the first inning.
Right? Exactly.
You get that these games, I don't know how they do it, but these games just really. And a lot of it's in your own head. Let's be fair. A lot of it
is. And it's all, when we do that, the roadblock slide, or last year when I was picking on Alan Trammell, it's the story that you choose to tell. And the rules or the video that tells, guides where the story goes. But it all is about the story you choose to tell yourself.
Yep. And just how this game just played that out in any game that we play. But let's be honest, sometimes you get a dud. Sometimes you play a game, it's like, yeah, it was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine. And sometimes you're like, I played the Strat PC hockey the other night. I'm doing the 92, 93 Kings,
the Western
Kings
Final.
Yep. So Kings Maple Leafs Western Final, the Gretzky series with McSorley and Curry against Doug Gilmour, Felix Potvin, and that I streamed the first game was unbelievable. Leafs ran out to a lead, Kings came back. Leafs took lead, Kings came back. It was a phenomenal game, and I streamed that one. And then the next night, I think somebody else was on, so I just played by myself, and it was a dud. Absolute dud. I'm like, boy. In fact, after I think I played 2 periods and it was like 4-0 Leafs, and I simmed to the end. I said, just sim the game. So yeah, I did. I said, I just don't want to play the last period. So I simmed to the end, and it stayed 4-0. So I didn't miss anything. But that would not have been a good game to play. And that game for some reason just did not tell a story. That game.
And you could have, it could have been the other way around. Canada could have won Game 1 in Montreal 9-1, and the series could have been over. I mean, you had the perfect storm.
Because Canada went up 3-1. Now, if they had taken Game 5 in Moscow, now they're up 4-1 or 5 or whatever it is. That means so the series is kind of over. If they had done anything different in Games 5 and 6,
series tie and 8 games, and the Soviets put up 5 in the third.
Yep, Canada, Soviets needed to win both 3 out of 4 at home, and they did. And it just 4-4 wrap up, perfect way to go. And there was no winner in that series. So anyway, yes, thanks everybody for tuned in tonight. We had a little double header tonight. Earlier we were on just having our normal nightly chat as we've been doing through these tough times.
Mm-hmm.
And but tonight we want to get on and do a Summit Series wrap-up of my product, which we like to do from time to time. And I know a lot of you guys do. When you guys do products, you like to wrap it up too and talk about what happens. So you don't need to broadcast every game or stream every game or whatever, but sometimes it's good to come on and just talk about what happened and share your experience, because that's what this is really all about. That's what Digital to Dice is really about.
Yes.
It's about sharing your experience. No, I don't want that one. I want that one. There we
There,
go.
there you go. That's
So
better.
yeah, so Digital to Dice is about all of us coming together and sharing our experience playing these games, and this is one of those times where I was like, wow, this was really really good. And yep, and that's why he does retro baseball. And the thing is, Ron, it's like I was playing guys that I knew, Esposito,
Oh,
Dryden,
sure. And
and there was one of the games, one of the 6-5 Canadian wins. Esposito made a last second save, the last roll of the game. He had to make a save to preserve the win, and you just see that happening in your mind, and that's my era. So, like Clinton says, that's why he does his retro baseball. Things are different, and that's what you enjoy.
hey, no problem, Bobby.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. We had a good night tonight as we
That's
had a
Bobby,
little chat.
by the way.
Oh, Bobby.
That is Bobby. Captain Carl's for Yaz.
Okay. I like calling them by their screen names.
Yep.
I don't like to wreck the shows. You know what I mean? I like to call them by their screen names.
So, all right.
Boy, that went over your head. You must be tired.
What? Yeah, apparently so. I ruined the stream for Dave again. Oh, no, I ruined it again.
It wouldn't be a stream without you ruining it. So he installed it on Action PC. Oh, good. So you found it? Hopefully that's what you mean, that you found it off there and downloaded it in there. So, and then one last thing.
When Ted Lindsay came out of retirement?
Yeah, he was not. I saw a story on him that he was not liked by the owners because he was trying to get the players union.
Oh no! And essentially, the Red Wings were and the Blackhawks were pretty much owned by the same people. So yeah, that was
Lindsay was not. He was. They basically tried to throw him out of the league, So, and Captain Carl Bobby says makes no difference. They call me late for dinner.
Yeah, don't call me Shirley. You could call me Shirley, but don't call me late for dinner.
So, anyway, so thank you so much as we wrap up of my project here, Ron. Thanks for joining me on this. And
this was fun to share.
Yeah, because like I said, you were kind of following. You were doing your game, but you were getting the updates and giving the updates. And you were giving the Russians slant on that when they were losing, so that was kind of fun. But so
and good results. Yep.
So now I can take a deep breath now that I wrapped up this pretty much. I just, like I say, messed up the goalie stats, but that's a good thing to talk about on the show this week when we talk about stats and do you keep stats? Because I can talk about how I messed it up.
It happens to everybody. Don't worry about it.
So it's not a big, not a huge deal, but whatever. So, so now I got to think about my next product. I think I do want to try to take out the Hockey Blast again. I do want
that would be a good one. With both teams being even, I think you might probably enjoy that one a little bit better.
Yeah, I did play one game of that earlier, so I might try that again. There was someone that was posting on some of the groups that he was playing Light the Lamp. That was the
the old Rob Lennon game, right?
Yeah, I think
you have that. You bought it.
I think I did have that, right?
Yeah, you do. You have it. It's like, and you have a 70s season because you were showing me Atlanta and Boston. Because you were putting logos on the cards. That's lighting.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Kill the power play. Kill the power play.
Oh, is that the
Roberts?
Is that the Italian guy?
Yes, yeah.
Roberto,
he said he's been trying to help him out because he's stuck in the house in Italy with the virus thing there. So he's bought a couple games. So I don't know if I have Kill the Power Play.
I don't think you have that one yet. It is the very epitome of a quick play game.
Oh, is it? Okay. Because Light the Lamp was different. Light the Lamp was a very different.
Light the Lamp was kind of a hybrid.
It was you pick your lines,
and then you play them for a period.
Again, and then the other guy picks his lines, and then you figure out how many shots they had, and then that determines how many goals. But you couldn't play the top line in all three periods, so you had like an offensive rating and a defensive rating. It was kind of unique how they did it. So, do you play your top line in the first two periods with the top defense, or do you split them up, or how do you set your line? So, Like the Lamp was. Yeah, Like the Lamp was a little straight. So you needed to actually play head to head because it was a strategy game. Kill the Power Play. I think I looked into that. I don't know if I got that one. No,
I don't think we haven't talked about it, so I don't think you have.
So I'll have to see if I have that or not. But that was a quick play game. I don't know if it's like a final score, like by Downey.
Pretty much. I'm not sure how much stats are. Robbie, they went to Sweden after Game 4 in Vancouver and rested up and played a couple exhibition games, and then they flew to Moscow for the last 4.
Yeah. Yep. They went. I think they had 2 games in Sweden, 2 or 3.
Right. Just also during the Summer Olympics.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Yeah,
fact,
and they actually stopped in Czechoslovakia and played one on the way home.
the way back, you said, right?
Yeah, and that was about it. So yeah, so there was a big break when they went over there. So but if you ever get a chance to watch a biography on that, all kinds of crazy things are happening in Russia.
All 8 games are on YouTube in full.
Yep, I watched some of those, but you listen to the interviews, and they brought like a whole bunch of food and drink with them, and somehow by the end of the trip, like before the last couple of games, a lot of their steaks went missing. They brought their own steaks so they could eat. Yeah, they 2 a.m, their phones would start ringing in the hotel. They showed up for practice one day, and there was a whole bunch of kids on the ice. And the kids said, they said, oh, well, we screwed up. The kids are practicing. And one of the players, I don't know if it was Brad Parker, took a slap shot that whizzed by one of the kids, and all the kids immediately get off the ice. So all kinds of shenanigans in Russia, plus the referees. Look at the penalty minutes in those games.
Yeah.
And how frustrating it was for Canada. And they still managed to pull out those games out in Russia. So, and well, let us know, Robbie. Let us know how you make out on Action PC. Because I like kicking back and play that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, I played that a couple times on Action PC, and I'm even right now. It's 2-1 right now in the series. I just checked that I hadn't played in quite some time, but yeah, so it's there. It's fun. It's a really fun, quick project. 8 games. It's really fun to play.
Oh,
so
all right, my wife's calling.
All right, so. We're going to wrap things up here. Everyone, thanks for joining us here. Hello. Kenny, thank you for coming in as we do the Summit Series wrap-up. And I'm going to let Ron go take the phone call. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow as we do another talk show. Yeah, I'm Dave. For Ron, who's on the phone. Talk to everybody later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
No, they'll be fine, Sarah.